Hello there, welcome back to RTF, aka Read the Freaking Manual, folks. I'm Roberto Cruz, and today's episode 9, chapter 9. So we've actually got a nice sequence here. So we had episode 8, chapter 8, and I think 7 and chapter 7. So because those are interesting, chapters. So I think we're obviously making a single video for a single chapter. In the meantime, so just a quick recap, folks. So we've been making a playlist for RS Logix, RS Studio 5000 Logix Emulate Getting Results Guide menu. So we are RTFMing through the entire menu. So we have a series of videos now, 8 in total. So I'm going to leave a link to the playlist somewhere in this video on the screen. So please make sure you check out what we've done so far. And any questions, let us know in the comments. You can always follow us on Instagram right here at RTF_M and interact. Please DM, send a direct message to us. And we're always posting some nice content on our Instagram page, and we're always notifying you guys about any new videos. So please make sure you guys follow us on Instagram to get notified about new content, right? On previous chapters, we went through on how to configure chapters actually 7 and 8. We went through on how to configure connection between your emulated controller to the FactoryTalk View environment, which in our case we use a FactoryTalk View Studio Machine Edition ME. So both using RS Linux Enterprise and through OPC, right? And I reckon now on this chapter 9. I may consider this, I may regard this as the icing on the cake. Although, having said that, this might sound misleading what I'm about to say, but I never use those instructions, right? We're going to talk about breakpoint and tracepoint instructions. So, for those of you who are familiar to high-level programming language, so those instructions are you can find them similar, instructions on softwares that you can actually program C++, Python. Visual Basic, and all those high-level programming instructions. They've got breakpoint and tracepoint features, instructions, so you can actually debug your code. So it's very useful for you to be able to debug and find, issues and flaws within your coding. All right. So it's a bit misleading because basically I've never used them, but because obviously I'm making those videos now and I'm actually reading through the RT, reading through the manual and obviously using the manual as a benchmark, so you can use it as a real life example. I actually found them very useful, and they could have saved me lots of time in the past when I was debugging my code. So it's really worth checking them, right, guys? And I'm actually going to show you some real examples of how to use breakpoint and tracepoint on RS Logix Designer. So those instructions, they're only available on emulated environments. So you can't find them, you're unable to find them on the physical controller, right? So without further ado, let's just dive into the icing on the cake, which unfortunately I never used them in the past, which I actually regret now, to be honest. All right, guys, let's just dive into the video, right? I've got a nice example set up here, a nice setup so I can show you guys what I am talking about. Okay, here we go, guys. We've got a bit of a ladder logic here with an example. So we are using a breakpoint. So this is how the breakpoint, the BPG instruction look like. And basically, I've set up 3 ranks, right? And what we're doing here, we're doing a calculation. So we've got additional instructions, add instructions, and a CPT, which is a compute instruction. And then what we're going to be doing is we are adding variable A is adding on itself 1, and a variable B is obviously carrying out the same, so adds up 1 on every cycle. And CPT is calculating the average, so we are summing them both variables A and B, dividing by 2, and is storing the value on the average variable. All right. So for every time we scan, as soon as we press start, the first breakpoint is gonna kick off. So he's going to break, and I'm gonna show you guys how it works. What sort of behavior, what sort of message it does as soon as the breakpoint is triggered. and then followed by a TPT instruction, which is the trace point. So we're going to do that for every single run, all right, in the PLC. So where can you find those instructions? So if you just scroll all the way to your right, through all those tabs, and debug. So those are the instructions, right? We got BPT, which is the breakpoint instruction, and we've got the TPT, which is the trace point. So on both instructions, you can actually trace for tags, right? But I'm using breakpoint as is only for breaking, right? Only for obviously stopping this PLC scan, and the trace, so you can actually monitor the variable. Let me just show you guys what we're going to be doing before we actually run this, right? So breakpoint, so I called it first breakpoint, second breakpoint. So basically they are a string. So the format is a string. So you can write whatever you like. So basically my string called first breakpoint is just got a message, a string character saying, a string phrase saying first breakpoint, second for second, third for third, and so on and so forth. Simple as that, right? So trace point, this is where things get interesting, okay? So the same, again, just before we dive into TPT, breakpoint has also got the trace this field, so this can be achieved using the breakpoint. The only difference between the breakpoint and the trace point is the breakpoint actually stops, it halts your scan, so which means that you can debug, so you can actually stop at that rank there without scanning the remaining ranks on your code, which is very useful. So if we go through the trace point TPT, you can either test, you can also, you can configure the format, which is, you know, how you're going to be, which is basically your string name that you can use for your instruction. And this is what things get interesting, right? So your string is obviously typed in the first set of characters before the column, right? So anything you write before the column is your actual string, and after the column is your it's going to be your variable you define. So I'm reading variable A, and then percentage D, it means it's a decimal, right? I'll show you a list. I'll go you through a list of some of the bits and pieces just to show you what are those marks are related to. Okay, so let's just show you very briefly. Over here we have two variables, so we are monitoring variable A and variable B, both as in integer, decimal, and obviously down here I've set these as just for an example to be a float point, right? So it's a real, which obviously percentage F. All right. Okay, let's just run. Before we run these, let's just gonna show you guys what are those percentage means, right? So there's a list in the manual. I'll tell you exactly what page is it going to be. So this can be found on page 54 of chapter 9 of a manual, which you can find that a link into the description of this video, right, guys? So basically the percentage D is a format for signed decimal integer, right? And percentage F is obviously the floating point, but you can also have percentage O, percentage X. I highly recommended you guys to take a look in the manual and obviously check us out every single one of those types, so you can use on your TPT and your breakpoint instruction, right? Let's just run through these and show you how it works. So first thing we're gonna do, before we run, I'm just gonna tell you what I'm about to do. So, and how is it gonna unfold during the PLC scan? As soon as I push start, as soon as I toggle the start button, the PLC is going to scan, is going to stop by the first break, right? And now we're gonna see a message coming up here. Let's just do it. Let's just go on. Let's just get on with it. Toggle, and here we go. Breakpoint 1, right? So our PLC scanning is actually right there in run 1, and it obviously recorded the first breakpoint. And what we do is we push OK. It's going to continue. You see, variable A is on 15, so you can actually see on the add instruction the actual value, and it records it on trace point on slot 2. Variable A equals 15. As soon as we push OK, we're going to move on to the next breakpoint, right? So we can actually see, let me just go here, show you guys. Oh, move that down here. So he went through breakpoint 2, and obviously now we stop at breakpoint 3. But that's why we can see the trace point 2, right? So variable A and variable B. Variable A is equal 15 and variable B is equal 25. And we push OK. And obviously it went back to where it started. We've got one shoot instruction here, so it's not going to carry on until we do another cycle. And here we go. Average is 20. And so you do the calculation, 15 plus 25 divided by 2 equals 20. And we've got the decimal points because this is obviously set to a floating point. All right, pretty handy. Let's just that again. And I'll tell you why, guys, what we're going to do. Let's just set up a, we can actually modify that. Let's just set these to 100. Variable A set to 100 and variable B set to 100. All right, the same number. So the average is got to be the same in the end. So we clear display, we do it again, right? So start, breakpoint 1 achieved. Shall we continue? Yes, okay. There we go, breakpoint 2. Stop the breakpoint number 2. Variable 1 equals 101. Obviously, it's very quick because it's an addition. So we push that. So variable B is going to be the same, 101. And as soon as we push OK, breakpoint number 2 is going to release. And we've got the average, which is 101, correct, right? 101 plus 101 divided by 2 equals 101. And that's obviously in floating point with various decimal points. You see, this is definitely the icing on the cake, you know. But it's so a shame that I never managed to use that in the past. But it's so useful, right, guys? I hope you guys who are just started with RS Logix, you know, I hope this is useful for you in the future. I'm definitely going to be using that if I can get a chance to play with RS Logix, you know, professionally in the future. So I hope you guys enjoy this content. We're approaching to the end of this manual. I'm probably going to be doing a poll on our Instagram page. Just make sure you follow on Instagram page for ideas of new content. We've still got a couple of chapters to go, so I hope you enjoy this content. If you do like the content, do like this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Make sure you ring the bell to get notified about our latest video. So yeah, leave us, let us know any comments, any ideas for new videos. Obviously, if you guys, oh, this is very interesting. If any of you guys have ever used these before, please let me know in the comments. I'm really looking forward to hear out from some of you guys who might have used that in the past. So thanks for watching, and always RTF fam. I'll see you guys next time.